In this video tutorial we're going to look at how you change the way in which objects appear, or the order in which objects appear in your flip chart. So for example, if you want one object in front of or behind another, well, how do you actually change that? Well, it's very simple to do, and we can illustrate it with the three playing cards that we have here. If we take the Jack, you can see that the Jack in this particular flip chart is behind the Queen, and the King is in front of the Queen. Now, all of these cards are within one layer. When you add a new object in ActivInspire, then the object is automatically added to the middle layer. But we can bring objects forwards or send them backwards within that layer, and we can see that here. So if we just select the Jack, just click with the left hand mouse button, or dab with the pen if you're at the board, which is effectively the same as clicking with the left hand mouse button. And then if we go to the Object Edit menu, click again, if we go down to Reorder, then you've got a number of options here. You can bring something to the front, bring something forward, which is to bring it one step forward. Bring something to the front means that it will go right to the top of the images within that layer. And then you've got the same options sending things backwards. So send to the back, which means straight to the back of a stacked layer of objects, or send backward is sending something backward one stage at a time. So with our Jack, if we look at what happens if we bring that forward, you can see that now the Jack is in front of the Queen of Hearts, but is still behind the King of Hearts. If we want to bring the Jack in front of the King, then we'll have to bring him forward one more step. So we'll do the same process again. We'll just select the Jack. This time we're going to right click, and you can see that you bring up the same Object Edit menu. So you can use this icon here, or you can right click, it's exactly the same. And if we bring him forward again, you can see now that we've got a different order of cards with the Jack on the top. If we want the King to go behind the Queen, then we need to select the King, and then we can access the Object Edit menu. I've right clicked here, and then we reorder, and then we send the King backward. So now we've got an order of King, Queen and Jack that's the reverse of the order that we had a moment ago. As I said, you can send things straight to the back or bring things straight to the front. So if we do that here, if we click on the Jack, access the Object Edit menu, again I've right clicked, and we go to Reorder, then if we send the Jack to the back, then you can see that he goes straight to the back. And we do that with the King, and then we go to Reorder and bring him to the front, then we've got the order of cards that we started with a moment ago. It might be easier to see this happening, and we can do that by going to View and down to Browsers. Now when we go into the browser here, we've gone into the page browser, but the browser that we want to be in is the object browser. And the object browser shows that we've got a top layer, a middle layer, a bottom layer, and we've also got a background layer which has rather different properties from the other layers. You can see that we've got image 3. If we click on that, we know that it's the King. image 2 is the Queen, image 1 is the Jack. We've also got this image 9, which we can ignore really, but just to point it out, it's the shortcut to the notes browser that I've put on here, and we've got text, which is the 3-card trick, on the background layer. Now at the moment, image 1, image 2 and image 3 doesn't mean very much, so we just pick up the Jack. If you double click over the name of that object, then it becomes editable, and we can type in something that's a bit more meaningful. If we click on image 2, which is the Queen, and change that again to something a bit more meaningful, and we'll do the same with image 3, which is the King. As we change the order of them, so you can see here that King, Queen and Jack are on top of each other, or rather King is at the top, followed by the Queen, and then Jack underneath. I'll just move image 9 out of the way so that we can see more easily those three together. So as we bring the Jack forward, so into reorder, and go to bring forward, you can see that he's come forward here, and you can see that that has also changed in the stacking order within the object browser. If we bring him forward again, then you can see that happening again. So if we bring him now forward so that he'll be in front of the King, you can see now that the order is Jack, King, Queen. We could change the order even more quickly. So, for example, if we go into the object browser itself, we can just hold down the left-hand mouse button or the pen, maintain contact with the board if you're working with the pen, and then we can just drag. So if we drag the Jack backwards, you can see that he goes behind the King, and if we drag him backwards again, then you can see that he's now back behind the Queen where he started originally. Now we're working there within one layer, within this middle layer, but you can change the actual layers. You've got 3 layers that you can work with. So for example, if we take the Jack and drag him to the top layer, you can see now that he's right on the top of the other cards. And it doesn't matter what we do with these now in terms of bringing them backwards or forwards or sending them to the top. If they're on the middle layer and the Jack is on the top layer, then the Jack will always be above them. And we can see that here if we go to the Queen. If we access the Object Edit menu and go to Reorder, if we bring her to the front, then we only bring her to the front within the layer that she's actually on. So within that middle layer there, Jack is on the top layer, so he is still in front of the Queen. If we take the King and we drag him to the bottom layer, then again it's a very easy way rather of reorganizing your objects. Now if we just look for a moment at the background layer, let's take the King and we'll put him onto the background layer. Now the background layer is completely uneditable, so we can move the Jack, who's on the top layer, we can move the Queen, who's on the middle layer, but if we try and move the King, we just can't select him. In fact, we can't do anything to him, which is great if you want to set up a flip chart so that you can't accidentally move objects around, or if you've got students working at the board, then of course they can't accidentally move objects around. Now if you want to then change that object, so if you wanted to make the King bigger or smaller, for example, you might think that you just go into design mode, which is what you would normally do, say, to change an object that you've locked. But in this case, you still can't do anything to the king. It's not like an object that you've locked but then want to move. Image 9, for example, the shortcut to the notes browser, that's locked, but when we're working in this design mode, then actually we can access that and we can move it around. But this king is on the background layer, so we can't do that. So if you want to change something that you've put onto the background, then you need to bring it onto another layer to actually be able to change it. And that is probably as much as you need to know about layers.